Okay. Oh, all right. Hey, everyone. Welcome, everyone, into the room. Can everyone hear? Uh-oh. Rockstar feedback. There we go. All right. So people are still making their way into the room. Please excuse us. We're using this technology for the first time. So we're still working out. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to welcome everyone to the Bhumisparsha um, Moon Retreat practice intensive period. My name is Lama Rod. It's so good to have all you with us tonight. This is, something that we kind of created and put together, really quickly in the past 2 weeks or so, because we really wanted to offer something to the community, something that can really be supportive for folks right now as we're going through this really intense period. Um, and we'll talk about, just what the schedule is, all the different things that we're offering towards the end of our kind of talk tonight. But just to kind of set up tonight, we're going to just start with a short practice to kind of get us grounded. And then Lama Justin and I will offer just a short dialogue talk. And then we want to introduce you to the team. So to our organizing team, who were based all over the place in Boston, New York, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Western Massachusetts. You get to hear from them as well. And then we'll, try to answer any questions that we can. And then we'll lastly have an overview of the schedule. So it's lots of stuff and you don't have to do everything. And I know it looks a little confusing. So we're going to kind of break all of it down and just kind of introduce you to some of the ways that you can get a lot of support and help in managing the schedule as well. And so with that, people are still coming into the room. But we're going to get started now with the practice. So Bhumisparsha means touching the earth. And so one of the core practices of touching the earth for me is literally just acknowledging the earth, the land that we're on. And I want to begin by, first inviting you to just step into this moment, just to notice, your breath, to notice your body, to notice the seat that you're sitting on. And then this noticing, I invite you to practice gentleness, kindness, patience with our experience, because we're all having very different experiences with our bodies, with our breath. And if you can, bringing attention to your seat and the sensations of your body making contact with the seat. Beneath the seat, we begin to touch the earth, the land under us, the foundation. It doesn't matter if we're sitting on a floor on the third floor of a building. It doesn't matter. The floor under us is an expression of the earth. And we're connecting to the basic element of earth, to the energy of stability and groundedness, a foundation. And as our attention touches the earth, we allow the earth to hold that attention, to take care of that attention. And as the earth is holding and caring for this attention, it is also loving us. It is accepting us with no judgment. And we touch the earth, and the earth touches us back. And I wonder in this moment if you can allow yourself to show up to the touching and to open to the ways in which the earth is touching you back. And if you need to right now, I wonder, if you can allow the earth to also just hold just all the stuff that we struggle with. Just hold our sadness and our despair, our hopelessness, our boredom, our horniness, our lack of inspiration, our fear, our terror, our anger and rage and frustration, our uncertainty, our confusion. Can you allow the earth to even hold those things? So taking refuge in the earth right now. Letting the earth hold you and cradle you and accompany you back to this moment, to this world. Even if coming back means our heart just breaks wide open, let it break open. Let the earth hold your broken heart and your tears. Let the earth remind you that you're not the only one. It's a broken heart right now. If you can remember that, if you can take that teaching from the earth, then your broken heart, along with the earth, becomes your teacher, the guru, the mother, God. Okay. Was that good for you like it was for me? That teaching wasn't for any of you. That teaching was for me because I needed that practice in that moment because shit's fucked up right now. Okay, I just need to say it. Shit's fucked up. Um, and welcome to everyone who just came into the room. Welcome. There are people all over the country, probably all over the world. Please, post your, greetings and where you're from. Then the colonized name if you want, but also the indigenous native name of your land. Okay. So I'm Lama Rod. This is Lama Justin, and we're just gonna for the next 15 minutes or so. We have lots to offer you all. The next 15 minutes, Lama Justin and I will have a conversation. Then Lama Justin's going to take off to rest. He may tell you why. And then we're going to introduce the organizing team for Bhumisparsha, who's been working for, I guess, the past year, helping us to just put the Sangha together. And then we'll have some questions. And then at the very end, we will offer just a little kind of run through of the schedule for the month. Okay. So again, welcome. So this is for me, I'll just start out and then I'll just hand it over to Lama Justin. For me, I was thinking about the topic earlier today and just thinking about like why we wanted to do this panel. And for me, I always have to come back to the fact that I started practicing Dharma because my life was in crisis and everything was falling apart. My mental health was falling apart, and I came to Dharma as this kind of last thing, and I didn't even come to like Buddhism first. I came to like spirituality with a healer, and I started learning energy work and working with like spirits and working with chakras, and I started doing that, and in that work, this healer taught me how to practice mindfulness, and mindfulness, along with all these other rituals that I was doing, opened the door into an interest for Dharma for me. And so my Dharma is a Dharma of crisis. It's always been a Dharma of crisis. It's never been a Dharma that like looks good or feels good or, it's just always been, as we used to say in my 20s in the community, it was like balls to walls, like that kind of like real intense, direct kind of practice, because shit was real. Shit was always real, systems of abuse and violence and marginalization and racism and queerphobia and capitalism and violence, all that was always real for me. And I needed to practice to meet the realness of those things, you know. And over the years, of course, as many of you know, radical Dharma emerged, you know, out of like that realness, that crisis Dharma. Um, and that's what I practice with. And so when I find myself in this period, you know, as we're moving into this really intense period of things falling apart, which I call the apocalypse, right? This is an apocalyptic period. Is it the apocalypse? You know, I don't know, right? But it is an apocalyptic moment where things are falling apart. And I am calling my practice to meet the times, to meet the death, to meet the fear, to meet the terror, you know, to meet the realization that I may not be one of the ones who make it through this period, you know. And, you know, I'm just going to say this, and this may be really harsh and really intense, you know, because it's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, you follow me on Instagram. I'm just kind of like intense right now. That's what happens when I don't travel anywhere and get distracted by you people. When I'm sitting at home all the time. But like, so here it is. If you're not ready to go into the heart of contemplating death and dying, in the midst of death and dying, then you're not ready for this path. You know, like you're not ready. If you can't do the work of moving into relationship with death and in the heart of death, then this isn't it, you know. And it's going to become a form of spiritual materialism for us. And then your expression of spiritual materialism will get in the fucking way of the rest of us who are trying to get free from this. You know, I promise you. That's all I wanted to say. That's it. I'm going to take a breath now because I'm activated. You know, I just feel so passionate. You know, I just feel so passionate about the work, about, you know, getting free. You know, some of you joined me on Saturday for a session, and you know what I said. You remember? It's like, you know, you have to want to get free if this is going to be meaningful for you. If the practice, whatever the practice is, meditation, deity, chanting, whatever it is, if you're not interested in getting fucking free, then this is not. You're wasting it. You're wasting these practices. So that's it. I'm going to turn this over to Lama Justin.
Thank you, Rahad. Yeah, I agree 100%. My practice developed similarly to yours, where I explored Western mysticism, spirit work in that arena, alchemy, became interested in Hinduism, and then, of course, Buddhism. But it wasn't until I met my root teacher. Sorry, the feedback is kind of distracting. Who ended up dying at age 50, and I had the opportunity to care for her the last year of her life in Sikkim. That it became real. Her death was my teacher. She was my teacher as she died. Shortly after that, I was introduced to one of her teachers who ended up dying when he was 60. And I had to cope with that. In modern tantric Buddhism, sorry, this is insane for me. I focus on death a lot. And it's something that we in the West are so generally kept separate from, except for now. You know, we have 700 people a day dying in New York State right now. We had 3 members of New York City Department of Correction die yesterday. One died by 8 a.m. this morning. There were 38 bus drivers who have died. People are dying everywhere. They're talking about burying bodies temporarily in parks. The morgues are full. And we're not immune to this. And then on top of that, the economy is falling apart. All of the ideas we had about life, livelihood, future, those are dying. And what do we have? What are we left with? And that's what we're really going to be exploring. We're going to explore the anger, the rage, the depression, the fear, the loneliness, the frustration that the plans for this year just aren't happening the way they were going to. As basic as that. You know, before this started, my wife and I were listening to someone screaming outside, and it sounded as if they received information around somebody they loved dying. It was just uncontrolled sobbing. And the irony of this is that this has always been the case. Death is always there. We've privileged ourselves with the ability to push death away. And now it's riding the donkey of Palden right at us. And the question is, how can we practice now? I'm at home sick with COVID. I feel terrible right now. At around 6 p.m., everything just goes haywire. You know, my body aches. I can't concentrate. My hands are freezing. My feet are freezing. It's hard to think straight. And I'm lucky because this is a very mild form of this. There are people dying of this who are young and healthy, and there are no good words for those people and their families. And then we have the opportunity to watch the train wreck of the way we're dealing with this crisis here in the US. And that is maddening, for me at least. When you have someone with so much power as the president telling people to take drugs that are basically probably fish oil. The ethics behind that, the lack of love is just too much. And we're here together to get through this. And like Rod and I said to one another while we were traveling in India, some of us won't make it. And that's heartbreaking too. And that's real. That's how high the stakes are with our practice. There's no better time to practice than now. We can forgive ourselves for years of distracting ourselves and not practicing, that's fine. And that's not really the way it works. The heart of liberation is always present. We can jump in and touch the mother right now and at all times if we really try and want to. But we have to want to, and we have to have the resolve to burn through some of these kleshas that keep us paralyzed, because now's not the time for paralysis. Now is the time for awakening. So that's what I want to share about what we have in store for this month. And I pray that towards the end of the week or the weekend, my symptoms will subside and I'll be able to be more present. But it's important to remember that this isn't about me. This is about you. You know, this is about you surviving, thriving, and touching the heart of wisdom in every moment. And I would really like all of you to understand that that is genuinely possible. I know Rod has touched it, and I know that I have touched it. And yet, death still looms. So, Rod, would you like to add anything?
As you were speaking, I just remember being a young practitioner, in my 20s, and my Rinpoche, Nola Rinpoche, my root teacher, would just he would just always talk about this shit. He was like, death, and you should always be contemplating death. You should always be contemplating impermanence. You should always be ready to die. You should always be trying to do good things and accumulate good karma and understand your mind. And these basic teachings he kept saying over and over again. I said, oh, Rinpoche, this is so antiquated. I'd rather talk about love and all this other stuff and compassion and kindness and gentleness, But as I grow older in my practice, I don't think there has been any more precious teaching for me now than those teachings around death and dying, and that they become real, more and more real the older that I get, and how true those teachings are. I can only experience freedom in this body and this life when I start deeply metabolizing, impermanence and death in my practice. That I will die. Anything that is born will die, right? Anything that comes together will be dispersed. All the people who are in this virtual room now, from all over the world, we will, we'll never be like this ever again. We'll never, ever all meet each other. Some of us, may not make it through this epidemic, but not just because of the epidemic, just because of a wide variety of things that could end our lives. We will never be together again. We have to see and understand that impermanence is always happening. Dying is always happening, but I don't have to be overwhelmed by that. I can experience freedom and joy if I can just come into relationship, develop a relationship with these things I habitually avoid. I am not my body, right? I am not Lama Rod. I am not this black, queer, messy, unprepared, unorganized. You get it. Like I'm not, I am not this. I'm much more than that. And that's what I'm taking refuge in. This is what the guru, this is what the deity, this is what the mother teaches me to do, is to turn my mind to my essential nature. And the sadness that we're sitting with, the overwhelming sadness and despair and hopelessness, lay it at the feet of your source of refuge. Lay it at the feet of the guru, lay it at the feet of the mother, lay it at the feet of God, lay it at the feet of the earth, lay it at the feet of Chenrezig or Tara or Medicine Buddha, lay it at the feet of something that can help you hold it. That's how we get through this. And this is just hard wisdom, right? This is like the hard teachings, and this is what Bhumisparsha is at the end of the day. This is just like, we've just like cut through the bullshit and we're just going to give it to you, because we don't know how much longer we have. I have no idea how much longer I have to teach, nor am I concerned with that. I know that I have this moment and I have the Dharma in this moment and I can give it and offer it to you. So I lay my Dharma at all of your feet because I take refuge in you as future Buddhas. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I'm reminded of, there was a teacher named Khenpo Gangshar who was a teacher of Trungpa Rinpoche, who, as the Chinese were kind of coming closer and closer to where they were in Tibet, began to kind of throw out all the rules around what you can teach publicly and what you can't. And so that he knew that there was an apocalypse coming. And for him, the most important thing was that people can practice, and they can practice deep Dharma, not this, just, do prostrations kind of stuff, which is good, obviously, but to actually get deep into the nature of mind. And he was on the money, and he ended up being caught by the Chinese and disappeared, and then was likely killed by them. This moment is exactly the same as far as I'm concerned, where now is not the time to hold back the precious resources of the Dharma and give them only to people who have progressed, bit by bit up the stairway, so to speak, or the Lam Rim. Now is the time to direct people towards genuine recognition of nature of mind. And there's no instruction more powerful than the introduction to the nature of mind around breath stopping, body stopping, self-stopping, and then what's left, what is there. And so we can practice that in so many different ways moving forward, because we're reminded all the time of how breath stops and self stops in hospitals and on buses and in homes and everywhere right now. And what's left is not a loss. It's not a experience of less than. It is an understanding that the moment, Dharmakaya, is always full. And this is what joins us together in the beauty inherent in the way that we suffer. That it sucks, and this shit is on fire, and my body's on fire, and yet I suffer with you. We suffer together. There's no separation, and there's beauty in that. There's beauty in my relationship with Rod.
Mm.
There's beauty in my relationship with you, Paul.
Mm.
There's beauty in everything that we do. There's beauty in the sun rising, or beauty in going out to get some flowers when there's all hell is breaking loose. Or cooking a nice meal when everything is, falling apart.
Mm.
Like there is beauty in the loss, because the nature of mind is a vast, spacious love.
Mm-hmm. We all have the virus. Like we all have this. We all have the virus. We all have it. If one person has it, we all have it. We're all struggling. Mm. So
I think before we move on, Rod, I'm going to sign off. And then you all can, introduce the organizers and everything. But I want to thank everyone, all 141 of you, for coming, and for being here and for practicing with us. And I look forward to us being together for this month. And please know that.
thank you, Jeff. Okay. So thank you, everyone, for being here. We want to continue just by introducing our core organizing team, and our team was just introduced because our core organizing team will be the folks that you're going to be interacting with over the course of the month of the cycle. They're going to be holding space and giving some instruction and so forth. So we just really want you to have a sense of who they are. And I have no particular order for anyone, so I'm just going to randomly call people. And I wonder if now I'm forgetting everyone's names. Alex, do you want to facilitate introducing folks? I can call people up, but I can't invite them on the screen. Oh, I can't hear you.
Hi, folks. I'm Alex. And yes, Rod, I'm happy to do the behind the scenes button pushing to get everyone else up here, as you call them.
Okay. Should we ask Brenda first to come up?
So, okay, there I am. Okay, very good. I want to thank you all for such a beautiful talk, very opening. As you know, my name is Brenda Collins, and I'm one of the core organizers for this summit. Bhumisparsha for me has meant looking and appreciating the rawness of my own life experiences, which allows for me personal transformation and liberation. It has allowed me to look deeply very deep at my desires and actions, emotions, while learning from them rather than judging them. And that's a big thing for me. All my life, I've been judging uh, my own behavior when someone says it's not right or I was taught it was incorrect. So now I can look at that, appreciate that, and learn from that. So I want to say I have really learned a lot, um, and going deeper into my own being for liberation. It also is also allowed me to practice, to create my own practices around my liberation, which is very important for me. So I won't go on and on and on. I could talk all day about this, but I um, I appreciate being a part of this community, and I thank you all. I have spoken.
Thank you, Brenda.
And Rod, if you can call folks up to call two folks up,
Okay.
and actually
Okay.
go.
Let's Lee, maybe Lee and Trinley, if Trinley's on. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, great. Okay. My name is Lee, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am in Minneapolis, which is Dakota land. And I would say I'm one of the core organizers as well. I would say for me, what Bhumisparsha has meant has been I have another community that I'm a part of as well, and it's lovely to have several communities. And I want to just say, like, what has been so important to me about Bumi's Parsha has been the way of talking about the mess of the world in a collective way, because it has never made sense that this would be work to do as an individual. Like, we have systems and structures, we have systems of oppression, we have collective experience, and the way that they've held space for that within the Tibetan tradition has meant so much to me because it's something that I've really needed to be able to bring more parts of myself to my practice. It's like I know certain things are important to me and have always been important, but it didn't always feel like there was space within my practice to bring it together. And in addition, really similar to what Brenda had said, this really like eclectic but not eclectic in like what do I say? The sense of being able to weave in the parts of ourself, the parts of myself, so that I can bring that to the practice that I might be doing. Whether it has to do with my Jewish heritage or activist heritage or whatever it may be, like to bring that to my practice and have that be fully encapsulated and have really vast permission and encouragement for that. So yeah, that's been, and it's been beautiful to practice with this community, which has just amazing people from all over, bringing their whole selves. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Lee. I guess I'll jump in. Hey, everybody. This is Trinlai, and I want to begin by really thanking the llamas because they are real as fuck and encourage everybody else to show up in the same way. I'm primarily going to be helping to facilitate the practice and instructions on Chud, which Lama Justin will be offering later, which are teachings that are very dear to me because they really encourage us to look at what is unpleasant, to get our hands dirty, in this case, a little bloody, a little covered in germs, um, and to really deal with what's going on in our world. I remember meeting Lama Justin and coming to this wisdom tradition feeling, where is this happening now? Where are the yogis? Where is the pulling back the veil to jump into the ultimate in pursuit of the realness, in pursuit of the deepest reality? Where is the fight being fought? And I feel that in previous communities, I was told, whoa, 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 slow down. But in the presence of the lamas, it's like, no, this is what we're here to do. This is what needs to be done right now. So I give tremendous thanks for this. And I feel that it's amazing that we can have this gathering. I feel very fortunate in this time because death has always been present, like the Lama said. Shit's always been fucked up. But we're really, really good at trying to play it cool. I think of like the frog in the pot of boiling water that gets turned up slowly and doesn't know it's boiling. So I'm very grateful that suddenly it's gotten very, very hot and we're all on the same page about getting the fuck out. So hopefully in our time here, we'll be able to address this together and all be on the same page as we are forced to stop what we're doing and take care of each other. So I look forward to practicing with you all.
Thank you, Trinley. And then we'll have Eric. Come on.
Oh, there I am. Oh, dang. Sorry, I'm like, this has all got me a little messed up in a good way. Like, I might cry, you know, just how we roll sometimes because to see uh, all of these people who have logged on and I'm just really, really happy that we were able to hold this space as messy and, you know, emergent as it will certainly be. I'm just really, really happy that we all get to be together right now. All right, so I'm Eric, and I'm in Minneapolis, and I'm a co-organizer. And I'm going to be holding just a little bit of space for meditation on Wednesdays, just like keep it really simple, come together, spend some time sitting, and optional time for discussion afterward. And I'm also going to be holding some space later on in the month for just a really informal town hall kind of discussion about what has started to emerge over the course of the past year and a half, 2 years, with what Bhumisparsha's emerging values, visions, and strategies are shaping up to be. Version 1, iterative, living. Things are going to change as you all help us change and learn and strategize together. But Bhumisparsha for me is kind of what the lamas have done for me, I think, is given me and my friends and people I love permission to like learn from all the mistakes that have been made and like try to do something different, you know, and like full on permission to explore what that really means to commit to doing things differently. and sort of the possibilities and challenges and biases, and how does our understanding of what our practices need to change to be able to take the kind of risk, is like we say sometimes with as co-organizers, sort of how do we need to change in order to be able to embody what justice requires in this new world. Yeah, so that's me, and I'm really honored to start to make new friends and to learn and create together. Check.
Thank you, Eric. And we have other folks on the team and other volunteers too that you'll be interacting with over the month, and who weren't able to be on the call tonight. So you'll meet those folks as well as you engage with the schedule. And I see so many members of Bhumisparsha who've been to the retreats. We actually had several retreats planned in April. We had 3 retreats planned. And so this is the alternative, as many of us are experiencing, coming online. So it's good to see so many members of the community who've been coming to retreats and being with us. See Javier and Christina and Karen. So good to see all y'all. So Bhumisparsha is, I know this is many of your first time kind of like interacting with us. We're just this huge, big experiment that we don't know how it's going to work out, but we're just going to do it. And, this really comes out of, if you, for those of you who have read Modern Tantric Buddhism, Lama Justin's current book, I wrote the foreword for that, which one could argue could be one of the most exciting parts of the book is the foreword. But in that forward, like I just really talk about like our relationship and how like we came together, and we met on Facebook, 7 or 8 years ago now, and from there we just kind of formed this friendship. And Lama Justin has been one of the people who has really like kept pulling me back in to the practice, and into being in a relationship to the lineage, and we finally got to this place where it's like it's really time for us to do something different, to really embody the teachings differently, because the world is changing really quickly, and we want to be accessible and adaptable and emergent. We want to be fresh. But we also do not want to repeat the same old patterns and the same old systems of violence and abuse that many of us come out of. And so this is why this is such an experiment, because we're trying to understand if indeed we can have this transformative tantric practice community without all the hierarchy, without all the stuff we've been told we needed to do in order to really embody the benefits of these practices. And so Alex will come back and just kind of go through the schedule for the month. And, it's lots of things that we're offering. And many of you have been coming to Medicine Buddha practice, which we've done the past 2 weeks. And that, for me, is an example of how I am writing practices that cut through like a bunch of stuff and get to the essence of the practice itself. And you're going to see much more of that this month, But I'll just turn it over to Alex, just kind of go over everything. Oh, we're also doing that's right, Sarah, we're doing a study group on modern tantric Buddhism as well. So we'll talk about that, Alex. We'll talk about all of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mama Rod, Mama Justin, all the core organizers who, especially in the last few days, have been really putting in a lot of heart into this experiment. It feels really exciting and also kind of terrifying to be holding this space in this way, in such an experimental way, where we really are just doing our best to keep up with this community that we know needs to exist. and that, I first connected with the Bhumisparsha community when it was a website, basically. And I had done a program with Lama Rod and met him at a time where my practice really needed some validation from outside of the community that I didn't realize I was leaving at that moment until I met Lama Rod. But for me, even before that, I had seen this website. I had heard about Lama Rod's teaching. I had read Radical Dharma, and I thought this was, clearly the way that things need to be going forward. And so I heard about Bhumisparsha and this idea that this was coming together. It sounded really exciting, but there was nothing. I didn't know how to actually connect other than go to this website that had a couple of cool images on it and an email address, and that was kind of it. And so I've just been trying to hold space to allow for our kind of connections on these underground cables that are sending zeros and ones back and forth over the internet to be actually sort of the nerve system of an emerging sangha. And it's been really fun in some ways, a fun challenge to learn how to use these tools to do this. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to learn along with everybody kind of how to do this. And I think for me too, my background, part of my background in training is as a jazz trombonist. And so for me, learning how to be in relationship with these tools and this sort of interface and everything over the internet in a way that can kind of connect with the real-time creativity of making music with people is really important to me. And I'm hoping that we can kind of learn how to do this to be on the internet together in a way that isn't we're just sort of uploading our consciousnesses to the cloud and something happens there, but the real it's not really real, so I'm really hoping that these can actually be sort of ways for us to connect actually really, and I love that we're all starting by saying hello and where we are, right? I'm imagining 107 people right now, on the ground somewhere all together and sharing an intention and able to channel this shared intention to something that I'm hoping is cool. So I'm gonna post a link to the page on our website for the Moon Cycle Intensive, which is kind of the front page for all of this, that folks can go to. And you'll see it on the bottom of your screen in just a second. There. So there should be a little green button down at the bottom that says Moon Cycle Intensive that you can click on. That if it's helpful to be looking at some of these offerings as I'm talking about it, you're welcome to do so. You'll also see me looking over on my second monitor here. That's what's going on when I'm looking over to the side, is also looking at the offerings that we have. And so basically we, as Lama Rod mentioned, we had these 3 events planned in April, one in Minneapolis, one in Atlanta, and one where I'm based in East Hampton, Massachusetts. And so when it was clear that wasn't going to happen, we decided to sort of pool our resources to see what we could put together over the course of a month. And so this is the menu that we were able to come up with. A lot of these things are being offered for the first time, and I think it's all offered in the same spirit of being an experiment. And so if you click on that link, you'll see first 2 ways that you can look at the schedule. And one is by clicking on the View Calendar link, which will take you to another page on our website that has sort of a calendar layout of everything day by day. And then on that calendar layout, you can also see there's a couple of filter buttons, so that because the calendar is like a whole bunch of stuff all at once, you can filter it by talks only, gatherings only, practice groups only, or empowerments only, just to see kind of the different categories of things that we're going to be offering over the course of the month. So I won't do a blow-by-blow of literally every single thing that we're going to be doing. And there's actually a couple things that aren't quite on the calendar yet. But the other way that you can look at the schedule, if it's helpful, is if you click on the practice intensive page, if you click the printable schedule, that will link you to a Google document that is being updated. That's sort of the master schedule document that is a list of all of the things with links to the events and the times and all of that. So those are the 2 kind of pathways into what we're doing. And as I mentioned, there's kind of a couple of different kinds of things that are going to be offered over the course of the month. And because we're kind of in this moment where we're starting to really manifest and grow in a new way. And there's a bunch of different things that kind of are happening at the same time as a result of that. So, for example, we are trying to offer some empowerments and encourage us all to start practicing some things. And so that's going to be happening. And folks are really encouraged to give whatever calls to you a try, and recognize that you might not be super into all of it. There may be one thing that like really sticks with you, and that's great. And maybe that everything is awesome and you rotate, like, it's going to be different for everybody. But the idea is that we're just kind of throwing it all out there this month as a starting point. There's also going to be a daily kind of check-in and practice group that happens every weekday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So that's 8:30 on the West Coast in the United States. You can do your time zone math wherever you are. But we thought it was important to kind of have a space that's really just about holding a little bit of space for us to kind of come together with these practices and have a chance to both like touch in and sit together, like to just touch the earth together once a day, and also to have a little bit of space as a part of that to check in with each other, ask questions, get to know each other a little bit. Because that's another aspect of what we're trying to build in this month is Sangha. And, Sangha is, for me, I'll speak for myself, has always been by far the most complicated thing to appreciate as a jewel. Like for me, Buddha, I'm down. Dharma, I'm down. Sangha has always been tricky for me. So it's a really exciting opportunity for me to be really trusting the space, and to not really know how it's going to happen, but I actually really trust that. I've met some of you so far digitally. I've met some of you in retreats, and most of you I haven't met. And I trust this, and I'm really excited about that. Like, that feels amazing. So that's the Sangha piece, and that will be developing both in the context of these daily check-ins, and then there's also going to be on Thursday evenings, starting next week. There's going to be kind of check-ins with the Lama. So we'll actually have it more of like a kind of Q&A. Everybody can come and we'll be talking about how our practice is going. We'll be able to ask questions to the lamas and again, start to really develop these relationships and start to feel into what this Sangha actually is starting to become, because it'll be different in a month than it is right now. So then the other piece around that, as Eric mentioned in his introduction, is going to be on the new moon, the halfway point of this month cycle that's starting today. There will be a town hall conversation where, if you can also find this on the website, Eric in particular has been working really hard on this document that's kind of a preliminary draft of our vision and values and sort of where we're starting from. And we would love to hear what people think about it, what's inspiring to people, what is annoying to people, etc. So that will be happening on the 22nd. And then in other points, there's going to be a group. So there are also a couple of groups that have just been getting started that have started to establish some regular rhythm that will also be happening this month. So these are things that volunteers have, or folks who have already kind of gotten plugged in a little bit to the Bhumisparsha Sangha and have started self-organizing. And so the first of those is going to be a monthly Green Tara practice call that will be on Monday night after the Medicine Buddha next week. There's also going to be the first meeting of the Modern Tantric Buddhism book group is going to be this Sunday at 2 p.m. We had a sort of a pre-reading call last week that kind of got everything started off, and that will be meeting every 2 weeks. We'll have 4 meetings where we cover 4 chunks of the book in order. And then the other is there is a group of folks who are practicing Dharma in Spanish that will be meeting. That's a collaboration with the Secular Buddhist Association that will be meeting on Sunday the 19th at 2 p.m. And then the other thing that is happening are, I mentioned the empowerments and the practices that are going to be laid out. So you can, again, see this on the calendar, but there will be first an introductory talk this Thursday with the lamas at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's really about understanding what Tantra is about from the perspective of the Bhumisparsha lamas and kind of what this Sangha's take on the meaning and importance of Tantra is. Then Rod and Lee will be leading a panel discussion about bringing our ancestral spirituality into our Buddhist practice. So this will be in honor of Easter and Passover, which are starting this weekend. And then the following week, we'll start our Chud rollout. The Chud practice will start with a guided visualization that Lama Justin will do on next Tuesday, a week from today. And then there will be an empowerment the following Friday and some room that weekend with both Lama Justin and Reva Trinley, who you just met, to work with the practice, get introduced to some of the ritual elements of it. And then Trinley will be continuing to host Cho sessions on Tuesday nights for the rest of the month. There's also going to be on Sunday an introduction of a new practice that Lama Rad has just rolling out. We'll be introducing to this community, to this group of people. Since you're on the screen here, Rod, do you want to say anything about that?
Sure. Yeah. So it's so many of you, if you've sat with me on retreats, I've been doing Green Tara practice. That is just something that comes out of my practice. So this new iteration of Tara is called the Heart of Matara, and it is an integration of Green Tara and White Tara. White Tara has traditionally been used to work with fear, particularly fear of death. And I'm developing a practice to bring both those like green and white Tara into union, particularly for us to use right now as we're moving through this period. So it's going to be a little more involved than the basic green Tara that we've been practicing monthly, you know, and on retreats. So this is a whole brand new thing, and that's going to be at 2:00 Eastern on Sunday. So this is like, for me, an Easter offering, you know, this kind of like resurrection, awakening through the goddess on Easter. And there'll be a practice text that I'll offer after Sunday.
All right. Well, oh, sorry, I had a little video glitch there. So the month will close on the following full moon. So we have a full moon tonight. We'll have another one in a month, and that will be the end of this. So in between, we'll be doing all these things. Feel free to continue to check it out. And if anyone has any questions, also, I see that there's a couple that are starting to pop up in the at the bottom here. You can click on the bottom, ask a question, and I think it would be we'll take the next little bit of time to answer questions that folks have about any of the sort of the logistics that have arisen. So just click the ask a question button, and I will open it up and start.
So this first question I'll just present publicly. This is from Chris. Hey, Chris, it's good to see you. So is there any, if there is time now or in the future, I would love to have more skillful practices for offering support for frontline folks like healthcare workers, grocery workers, custodians, etc. Absolutely. And I think that in all the sessions, particularly, you know, deity sessions, we're going to be really working on like really basic things that we can bring to support folks in the front lines. And Lama Justin is himself on the front lines as well, too. So I think that on Thursday, we can talk much more about like how do we actually pull basic practices out of Tantra right now to work to support people. And, you know, any readings for the intensive, Modern Tantric Buddhism, 12 Vows of Medicine Buddha, and I presented the Medicine Buddha text, the actual book by Changla Rinpoche at one of our Medicine Buddha gatherings. So that's a really good book to learn more about Medicine Buddha. We will be posting more resources. On Sunday, I'll have a few sources for Tara that we can also look at as well. And all sessions will be recorded. The main sessions, not the practice sessions at 11:30, or the study groups, those won't be posted. But the practice sessions that, you know, Justin and I will do will be posted and recorded. The practice sessions with Trinley and Chud, some of those will be posted and recorded. And the panels will be posted and recorded as well. So if you don't
question, oh sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there was another question here that if we didn't make the initial study group meeting for Modern Tantric Buddhism, can we still participate? Absolutely. Just join the call, and we'll see you there. For the next meeting next Sunday, the group will be reading the foreword, the introduction, the foreword, preface, and introduction.
Awesome.
And so there's a question about white Tara, green Tara at 2 or 6 p.m. on Sunday.
So it's 2. So green Tara, the Tara practice is at 2. I think the Spanish practice group is at 6. Let me just double check. I'm sorry, the book group is at 2.
Visit to the Heart of Matara is at 6
At
on
6,
Sunday.
yeah. So you should always know that, like, I'm going to tell you the wrong thing. And so for the child empowerment, if you can't be there for the child empowerment, it's okay to attend the subsequent practice sessions. Yes, of course. We're going to talk more about empowerment on Thursday night, and that panel will be recorded in case you can't make it. So our relationship to empowerment is that we don't see it as extremely vital for your success in the practice, but we are offering empowerment as a way to connect to the lineage that Lama Justin holds. I'm not offering Medicine Buddha empowerment or Tara empowerment because for me, we are inherently connected to those deities, through the practice. You don't really need for me to go through a ritual authorization. If you love the mother, then you are initiated into the practice of Tara. If you want to be a healer and an agent of change, then you are naturally initiated into the lineage of Medicine Buddha. And that's really all it is. Okay. So there is nothing else. So we do have, you can always email us at, info@Bhumisparsha.org for any questions that you have. And of course, in any session, there'll be time for questions. Yeah, I think that's, looks like that's it. Is the intention for the Sangha to continue after the month? Yes.
Oh, yes.
So we will, absolutely. And so we're in this time of transition and crisis, or as Eric likes to say, we're in an emergent period. I think crisis is much more intense, and I can use crisis as an excuse to get out of a lot of stuff. And so during this time, one of the things that we hope to embody and model is the practice of adapting and changing and shifting when we need to. For those of us who study Octavia Butler, who read the Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents, the Parable books, we know that we're taught that God is change. In Bhumisparsha, the mother is always changing, always adapting, always dancing, and we want to dance with that and change with it. So things, will change, and so as we continue through the month, we're just going to look at like, what do people want? What do you want? What grooves with you, and then, there are things that we'll just figure out how to continue if there's something that we really need. I'm committed to continuing Medicine Buddha and Tara into the foreseeable future, on my end, okay? But there are all kinds of ways that we'll be getting feedback. So we want to model bottom up, kind of like generational ideas and needs. So like, whatever you need, just let us know. And that we just it gets fed into, a process of trying to figure out how to support everyone and get everyone what they need. And so, and the schedule is a lot of stuff on the schedule. You don't have to come to everything. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be interested in everything. Just pick whatever you like. Whatever, speaks to you, just do it, get what you need, and don't be afraid of making mistakes in terms of like practicing. It's okay, it's okay. so much of how, particularly when we approach the deity, it's about the kind of gentleness and kindness we offer ourselves to be in relationship, just to our own basic expression, and having that openness, the vulnerability is really the nature of the deity in that moment, So, okay. And we'll just see, we will probably be in this moment in our, this particular moment in history for a while, so this isn't, we're going to be here for a while. We're going to be in the trauma post-pandemic for a while, and we're going to show up to support everyone during all of this. We're going to figure out how to do it with your help. We're going to show up, offer the practices, offer the support, and just help create a dynamic, living, vital, sexy, intense, messy Dharma that meets the challenges and struggles of our lives. Okay. So I think that's it. I would like to make a move to kind of close up for tonight as well. There's nothing else.
I think the one thing that I'll also invite everyone to do tonight, if you can, before Mama Rad closes out this session, is to step outside and see if you can see the moon where you are. And that will be one thing. That's another thing that is connecting all of us in this reality. We're all looking at the same one, and we'll watch it change and shift over the course of this month.
Yeah, get outside, dance on the moon, practice social distancing, you know what to do. And that's it. So I want to kind of move us into closing out our session, our time together. And I want to start by just inviting you to just begin reflecting on something that you're grateful for today, or just in general, but just anything that you're grateful for. And I want you to imagine that this energy of gratitude begins to grow within your heart center. And in my practice, I experience this energy as warmth in my heart center. You can see it as light growing in the heart center, or in the spirit of Vajrayana and Tantric practice, you can just simply say and have a knowingness that there is energy of gratitude developing, growing in the heart center. Shifting your attention to the heart center, and then imagining that you're breathing in and out of the heart center. As we inhale into the heart center, imagine that the in-breath begins to feed the energy of gratitude, like oxygen feeding a fire. That energy begins to grow, become more intense. The heat gets stronger, the light gets stronger, your confidence that there is energy grows stronger. And if you're able to, I invite you to, as you inhale into the heart center, holding the breath in the heart center for 5 seconds, and then gently releasing it out of the heart center. So inhaling together, holding, gently releasing. And if you can, doing this 2 more times with me, okay? Inhaling deeply into the heart center, holding the breath, gently releasing. Okay, and we're going to inhale one more time. On the exhale of this practice, we're going to send this breath up out the top of the head. Okay, so inhaling deeply into the heart center, holding the breath, gently releasing that breath up at the top of the head. Okay, so in doing this breath, we're intensifying, magnifying not just the breath, not just the energy of gratitude, but we're also intensifying prana in the heart center. So this life force energy, we're learning how to have agency over it. And as we move into some of these deeper practices through the rest of the month, but even in this practice tonight, just learning how to be with this energy, because we're going to continue with 2 more things, using prana. So just come with me again, breathing into the heart center, holding the breath, now sending the breath up out the top of the head. Okay. So now bringing your attention down to the seat, noticing the weight of the body on the seat, noticing the earth under the seat. Again, touching the earth with our attention. Begin to imagine that as we breathe into the heart center, we exhale the energy of gratitude down through the body into the earth. As we breathe this energy down into the earth, we are thanking the earth for holding us. We offer our gratitude to the earth, and as we offer this gratitude, we're blessing the earth under us, the land under us. And we shift our attention to the breath, imagining that we're offering this energy of gratitude into the breath as we thank the breath for supporting us during our practice, during our time together. And now I invite you to summon into this space your benefactors, your guides, your guardians, your ancestors and lineage. This includes your teachers and elders, your communities that you're connected to, your lineage, your ancestors. Inviting these beings into the space, offering this energy of gratitude to them, thanking them for their guidance, their support, for protecting us, for keeping us. And now we turn our attention back to ourselves. And we offer this gratitude, this energy of gratitude back into our own experience, back into our own bodies, into our own minds. And we thank ourselves. We offer gratitude to ourselves for showing up, for being here, for doing the work of trying to get free. So as we touch the earth, we touch our bodies, we touch our breath, we touch all the beings who love and care for us. And so on behalf of all of us who have gathered here tonight, I dedicate this merit to all beings, that may all beings have everything that they need to be safe, happy, and cared for. May the strength of our practice and the energy from this practice eradicate any form of disease, illness, violence, oppression, marginalization. May we become agents of change, of insight, of wisdom, of deep love and compassion. May we allow our hearts to continue breaking, and may we realize that we are not the only ones whose hearts are breaking. May we stay connected. May we stay involved. May we keep working our asses off until we reach enlightenment. And please also send good energy, positive energy to Lama Justin in his recovery, and send positive healing energy to all of us who are struggling with this disease and virus. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. That's it. And we will see you again, hopefully this week. Okay. All right. Bye.